I think that it's safe to say that almost everyone is enjoying AC6 as much as I do, and that it is a huge success that could potentially put the whole mech genre back on the map. It also satisfies old fans of the series, as many of my veteran players in my Discord have confirmed, but that doesn't mean that it's a perfect game. Armored Core 6 does have some obvious flaws, which many people have noticed and are also discussing in reviews posted on Steam and on Metacritic, for example. But one of these platforms always comes in clutch when it comes to some great, nuanced, well-written, and absolutely unbiased reviews. Let's have a look at some of Armored Core 6's Metacritic user reviews, specifically the ones that are mostly negative. If you have never really looked at the user reviews on Metacritic, I will let you in on a little secret. The only time someone can be bothered to make an account on that site and write a review is when they either really love or really hate a game. That means that 90% of the reviews you'll find are either 0s or 1s, or 9s and 10s, with very little in between. This is why you can't usually trust the user score to be able to give you an accurate picture of how good or bad a game actually is. You can, however, get the gist of a general direction. For example, if the game is decent, it's got a score above like a 6, or if it has got some serious issues, it's below a 3. But without further ado, let's dive in and have a look at what they've got to say about Armored Core 6. Let's start with the PC version. We currently have a score of 8.2, which is really good, but there's always some stinkers in here. What I want from you guys: tell me if you agree with the criticism that is here, or, we can work together to debunk what is being said here. Dragonfly, they can fake the review numbers, but they can't fake the Twitch stream numbers. 0 out of 10. Okay, no, I think I do understand what they're saying, because streaming has become such a big part of gaming culture. If a game does well on Twitch, as in view numbers, it is most likely doing good for itself. But not every game is made equally when it comes to being able to be, streamed well and be a fun stream to watch. That is a thing that exists, but this doesn't really... I don't know what the numbers are. I think actually, just judging by the player count of Armored Core, just judging by the player count on Steam alone, the peak player count every day is probably higher than it's ever been for any of the other games in the series. Let's have a look at Dragonfly. What does Dragonfly like? Doesn't like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Okay. Doesn't like FIFA 20. Gave a 9 to Anthem. Bold choice. Anthem wasn't that terrible. I played a bit of it. It was not good. By no means good. I think like a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 10, I mean. Fits. I think that fits. Elder Scrolls Online, he absolutely didn't like. Okay, football, okay, no idea. Nah, this person is trolling. Dragonfly, this is a memer. This is the best Mass Effect game yet, and what I love about the most is that they don't really have to make another Andromeda game. They can keep adding expansions to this. What? A 1 for Titanfall? No. No. No, come on. Okay. This person is absolutely trolling. ChatGPT person. Okay, let's not waste more time on this guy. Okay, ratings. Another 4. Interestingly enough, we don't just have 0s here. I did not expect this. The game is very casual with forced hard lockout. Wait, okay. The game is very casual. Might this be the rare person saying that the game is too easy? The game is very casual with forced hard lock auto aim. Maybe because they made the movement too fast for console peasants. This could have been solved if there was a first person mode. And to keep their image of hardcore game makers, they made the bosses broken damage sponges. The visibility is awful because the lack of colors and ugly giant crosshairs, but the presentation is pretty good. First of all, hard lock isn't forced. You do not need to use the hard lock. It is optional, and in some cases, definitely useful when a boss whips around. They made the movement too fast for console peasants. Like you're saying, Linton, the old AC games were only on consoles, literally. So, AC was only hard because of the controls back in the past. I would agree on that. The controls were where most of the difficulty came from. Since they have modernized at AC6 by letting us use the mouse and keyboard analog sticks for aiming, AC6 definitely feels easier for older gen players. I can see that, yeah. Think Live. It's not an Armored Core game at all. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's not an Armored Core game at all. Someone decided to try to make it into mech Dark Souls with dodge-dependent gameplay while removing so many of the good mechanics from previous games. Okay, first of all, they did remove some mechanics. That is true. Second of all, it is not mech Dark Souls. It is still Armored Core at its core. That was not intended, but I'll take it. The issue is not that it's difficult at all. It's that they made the game difficult in a really unfun way with very little respect to what made the previous games fun. I am not sure who thought it was a good idea to just make the gameplay totally dodge dependent or add in a bunch of insta repairs. Literally, one of their marketing points was that you could make a mech with diverse fight styles, and then it's like they did everything possible to force you to play it one specific way. No. You can experiment a lot. There's a lot of ways you can play. What we discussed earlier, I'm a bit sad that there aren't really any sniper rifles. That is true. Those aren't really in the game. But you can still go for a specific playstyle that you personally like. I can literally make Shrek from Shrek in AC6. Exactly. The bosses are kind of soulsy. Really, most bosses are still enemies. Yes, we will probably get to that later when someone like directly talks about that, what I think about that. But generally speaking, the bosses have a lot more Souls-likeness in them than before. That is true. They even took out the radar, which used to be a key strategy component, so you could get a feel for the battlefield, which turned some levels into a scavenger hunt for the enemy. Maybe bad is the wrong word, maybe call it different. Awful game if you want the Armored Core experience. Awful game if you want the Armored Core experience. That's a sentence. If you don't mind low-effort, repetitive gameplay with mediocre graphics in a lazy port, I would say that the game is worth a solid $20. Grab it when it's on sale. That is the full review. A lot to unpack here. I do hope that the DLC expansion next game gets more diverse parts and systems. I think FromSoft is now trying to, first of all, revive the series. So they had to take some caution with some stuff. But I think after this, they can really make some stuff. Can't adapt the poor thing. To summarize this review, maybe call it different. Awful game if you want the Armored Core experience. This person clearly does not want to adapt to the new generation. Wants the old stuff back? I can understand why you would like more of the stuff you really loved back in the day. But let's be real, if you were just to do the same thing, well, if FromSoft were to do the same thing again they did with the old games, basically, I don't know, making Armored Core 2 but nowadays, right? So if they released Armored Core 2 nowadays, it would really not do well. It would really, really struggle. It needed to be updated. There needs to be an update to the gameplay, to everything else, in order to survive in the current gaming landscape. Let's be honest, it feels like with the current Shotgun Songbirds meta, feels like it's the only viable way to play. I don't agree. Also, off stream, I've played some other builds. I've tried some other stuff in the missions, and it was totally fine. It was totally fine. There's definitely easier ways to play the game, right? Like, some weapons are just stronger than others. That's a fact, and that's just a balancing issue, I would say. That's a whole different issue, but I would agree on that the balancing on the game definitely needs work done to it. Game was refunded on Steam. Just feels cheap. Bad animations, bad gameplay loop. Regular enemies are too easy. Special enemies or bosses take you down fast. And you have to enter Souls mode and keep dodging and rolling. And game feels indeed like a PS1 game from 2001. Tony Tiger on the review. I didn't realize I was buying a new Dark Souls. Instead of characters, we have robots. Instead of rolling, we have dodge. Instead of boss mechanics, we have a spam fest contest. Okay? I don't even know what to say to that. Again, the only real Souls-like elements that I would consider to be in AC6 are the... I can't even call it Souls-like. The boss battles are more like Sekiro. The boss battles are a lot closer to Sekiro than a Dark Souls boss fight. And stuff that people keep pointing out as Souls-like the healing items, for example, that's not an inherently Souls-like design. There's so many other games that have healing that replenishes after you hit a checkpoint. that is not inherently a Souls-like design choice. I guess it's a very close comparison that people like to make because it is from the studio that does Dark Souls. Is there AC6 review bingo sheet? Ooh, oh fuck, we should have made one of those. That's true. We should have maybe done a bingo sheet. This is between Memester and, and an asylum candidate. Okay, let's keep going. Keith Chris, repetitive gameplay, 2007-esque graphics, dark water story with only a few cutscenes, mostly all by radio. 90% of the good reviews are just lames gargling Fromsoftwares nutsack from their past games. Don't give in to the hype. Edit. Also don't take reviews that say the difficulty is hard, therefore bad reviews seriously. Okay, something I agree on. Game is easy, just isn't great and clearly made by Fromsoftware's C team. Okay, so we have someone in the rare category of saying the game is easy. Such a bad game. What a disappointment from FromSoftware. I finished playing Everspace 2 and it was much better than this crap. Those are... Okay? This is not even like the same genre. Everspace 2, from what I've heard, I actually want to play it. It's very good. But this is not even the same genre. Like, at all. Zero co-op is just a crime. A lot of people were looking to play this amazing series again, but decided against purchase because FromSoft decided to drop it like they were. A 0 out of 10 because there's no co-op. The only part I agree with is the part selection. It is relatively limited compared to the previous AC games. There's definitely a more limitation, especially there are no optional parts and stuff. That is one thing that I do agree with. 0 is strong for no co-op, but I can definitely see it ruining a game. It feels like it leaves a vacuum. I'm very much positive for co-op in pretty much every game. Like, I think every game could benefit from having co-op. But I'm not gonna give it a serious point deduction for not having co-op. So, while it is pretty funny to point and laugh at some of these reviews, let's not neglect actually acknowledging some of the fair criticism found on here. The limited part selection this game currently has is probably one of its biggest issues. What I mean by that is there are many types of parts from previous games that are just missing in this one. Weapon arms, sniper rifles, radars with more functionality, and internal parts are just some examples of what's missing, and it would be great if we would get them one way or another later down the line. Also, many people lament the missing of optional parts, but they do get replaced by the OS tuning in my opinion. However, the OS tuning is not as in-depth as if you were to have optional parts, plus the old-school tuning mechanic. But that's gonna be it for now. I might do a follow-up to this after I've completed my New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus playthroughs. Just the other day, I finished my New Game Journey live on stream, and it was a great experience. Maybe consider subscribing and stopping by the stream if you've liked this video. Also, a huge shout-out to my current channel members. Getting Hard, Puddle, Empress, Ashton, Blandy, Rue, and Burb, thank you all so much for supporting me. Channel members get a bunch of nice perks, including extra content every week, so consider becoming one yourself. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.